Hey everybody, it's Mark from the Crystal Chronicles, your Dissidia Final Fantasy Opera Omnia podcast. We come to you live on Twitch every Thursday night at 8 p.m. Central Daylight Time, bringing down all the characters, events, and all your DFFOO news and talk. Shoot that out here on YouTube and on your favorite podcast apps. I'm here with my June GL DFFOO tier list. What I do every month is I break down a couple characters I think you should spend gems on, a couple characters I think you can spend tickets on, maybe some characters you might think about depending on your circumstances, and then characters that I think you can skip. Now, it is the trash tier, but that doesn't mean the characters are trash at this point, and for this month specifically, all the characters are going to be useful, and you may have a need for them depending on your roster. But I'm trying to develop a system where you can focus your resources, particularly as a free-to-play player, with a couple gem pulls, a couple ticket pulls, on those characters that are going to get you the most value for the longest amount of time. Now, for me, I pull on almost everything. I am not free to play, and that's part of why I do a podcast. And so I like to look at a lot of different characters. So like, sub, ring the bell for notification. Do check out the podcast where we break down all these characters in great detail, have all kinds of fun guests on. But let me give you a little short introduction to the characters of the month. First, we are going to have Golbez cycle. Golbez gets an LDBT. He is a dark damage dealer that does it a lot better with his LDBT. Unfortunately, his dark damage resist down debuff is generic and easily overwritten, and he is more dependent on it than some other damage dealers. His BT effect is defensive, preventing enemy brave gain. Golbez is a 2-week synergy character and is synergy on divine boards. That being said, we do have VVLD as a GLLD first for a divine board farming option. So I actually have Golbez with his little weaknesses there as a ticket pull. If not for the dark damage resist down debuff being generic and perhaps VV as an option for divine board farming, he may be gems, but I think you can actually get by without him, although he is, again, very helpful on 9 Lufania, which is a cancerous Lufania, and throughout this cycle. So I definitely think he's worth tickets if you can handle it. He also comes with Hope. On the other banner, Hope's a great repeat LD, getting his LD boards. Hope's a defensive support, providing auras, damage mitigation, healing, battery, and magic damage resist down as a debuff on enemies. If you're missing these roles, you might want to pick him up. Otherwise, he is regulated to the bottom tier. That brings us to Nine's Lost Chapter, which has 2 LDs, 9 LD, which is a repeat, and Fujin LD. Let me talk about both the characters because I'm going to put them in the same place. 9 is a ranged attacker with damage mitigation, shields, some healing. He has very solid auras and adds offensive support to the party. His boards bring him back to Lufania viability, giving him more longevity by extending his buffs and replenishing his skill 1. He's a very solid character. Fujin, on the other hand, is the new LD on this banner. She's a ranged attacker who does wind damage in peril and party enchant of the wind element. Sadly, her LD doesn't really add a lot to her limited kit, and so she would be generally very skippable. She does, however, act as an excellent call ability to Bartz, and she does help with 9's Lufania, which is particularly painful. So I'm actually going to throw both 9 and Fujin in this question mark tier. The reason for that is, first of all, they're on the same banner. Second of all, depending on your gem pulls and your ticket pulls, I think it's probably good to be able to spend some resources on this banner. If you can get one or both of these characters, they will help you quite a bit in the 9 Lufania. 9 is going to be able to help you for a handful of fights afterwards. He's a good solid support. Fujin, if you really want to go after Bartz, is a nice add-on to her, what we were calling Terra, or we were calling Yang Terra's LD extensions. He's a little bit more powerful than that, but she's kind of like Bart's, passive, like a World Evolution weapon for Bartz. Although he does have a World Evolution weapon. Hey, the last banner on the Golbez cycle is Kadaj. Kadaj, aka Chibi Sibarath, is a melee damage dealer and debuffer. He has a stacking debuff that can trigger a follow-up attack and another debuff that gold frames his debuffs, which means they cannot be removed. His animations are pretty awesome, but as a debuffer, you can generally live without him. I'm actually going to put him because I really like Advent Children, and I'm definitely going to pull on him myself, but I'm going to put him in the question mark. He is a new character. He obviously can do some things. He's not bad at all, but you can definitely live without him depending on how your resources play out and your other pulls. That brings us to the next cycle, the Bartz cycle. Bartz is a melee damage dealer that offers party support, battery, and the ability to reduce enemy brave. With his LDBT, he gains additional party support, more auras. He becomes enchanted with the wind element, has a new wind damage resist down aura that he can bypass elemental resist down immune bosses because it's not a debuff, it's on himself, it's on one of his buffs. His BT effect enchants the party with wind, and he can also take advantage of that by using Fuchin's call ability as well. He does get a really good BT plus in the future, so he's a really solid unit now and a solid unit for a while. And although you can argue Nine's auras and support might be a little bit stronger than him, I think Bartz is the winner because I think you're going to use him a little bit more here in this cycle and then later in the BT era. So I'm going to put Bartz in the gem category. I think he is a solid investment for today and tomorrow, and that is worth your gems in my opinion. Pinella is the repeat banner on the repeat LD on this first event. She's a dancing aura bot with lots of healing and battery and some enemy brave reduction for fun. She returns with her LD boards to give her a minor boost, so like Hope, if you're desperate for supports and chasing Bart's BT, you might pull. Besides that, I think you're safe to pass Pen. That does bring us to Galuf. Galuf is a physical damage tank who covers party members and counters enemy attacks. He gets an LD which adds a lot of party support and makes him unkillable while his LD buff is active. That seems like a pretty good tank ability in my opinion. So I think as all tanks are at least worthy of a little bit of resources, put him in the ticket category. We also get Edward. Edward comes on a Lost Chapter. Edward sings songs and makes people sleepy. He returns on his Lost Chapter with his LD boards. His new LD buff gives him more party utility, and his sleep is a really good debuff. But again, probably not worth investing unless you love the brat that is on his banner. The new LD is Palom LD. He's annoying and does magic ice damage. If you love the idea of Palom's abilities getting better the more you used him, don't worry, his LD does the same thing. It has a plus and a plus plus variant. He gets additional turns and cancels enemy break, which is always useful. He's definitely unique in his damage dealing playstyle, and he is a solid damage dealer, but I'm actually going to put him in the skip tier because the very next character I think is going to be much more of an investment if you are having to pick a damage dealer this month. And that does bring us to Tifa. Tifa punches you and you like it. Tifa is a melee damage dealer and she gets a rework and an LD. Tifa is primarily a single target damage dealer, but she does a lot of damage. I'm not sure anything will prepare you for just how much damage she is doing. It actually seems like she shouldn't even be in the game quite yet. So pull her with gems and punch your way to victory. Well, friends, that's my kind of picks for you for the month of June. I would suggest using gems on Bartz and Tifa. I would suggest using tickets on Golbez and Galuf. I'd consider the 9 and Fuchin banner depending on your resources, and if you want to have a little extra fun, Kadaj. If you need any of those other characters, really like Porum or want some more elemental damage or magic damage, Palom is a good option as well. for me, I'm definitely going after Bartz and Tifa. I'm going after Golbez and Galuf. I'll probably pull on 9 Fujin and Kadaj. I already have Hope, Pinella, and Edward. I am going to skip Palom unless you all make me pity him for some odd reason. But check us out every Thursday night at the Crystal Chronicles on Twitch or right here on YouTube or your favorite podcast app. And we're going to break down each and every one of these characters. What do they do? We're going to have people on the show who have used them, who have experience with them. We work with people who play the game in Japan, who have experience down the line. It's just a great community and a great time listening to people talk DFFOO, hanging out with your friends talking DFFOO. So like, sub, ring the bell for notification. Check out all of our friends. Shout out to Ryan is the Bomb 203 who's doing the music that you've been listening to. Trying to get him to 1,000 subs. He does great content. His latest Endwalker trailer piano arrangement is amazing. Check that out in its full form. And we will all see you next time, next Thursday. Have a good one.